to Steve Clemons in Washington, D.C. He's host of The Bottom Line. That's Al Jazeera's weekly show on U.S. politics and policies. Good to have you with us, Steve. Thank you for joining us. So let's start with the big picture first. This has been described as the least super of the Super Tuesdays. No major surprises expected. But what are you going to be looking out for?
Well, look, I think there are surprises beneath the surface that may come up. You know, I don't think Nikki Haley is necessarily looking as if she's going to be victorious, but there's going to be a big difference between Nikki Haley getting between 35 and 40% of the vote out there and 15 or 20%. If she were to perform more strongly, it's really not necessarily a Nikki Haley vote. It shows that there is real resistance to Donald Trump within the Republican Party. We just saw in Michigan, lots of people voted uncommitted as Democrats in the Democratic primary rather than for Joe Biden, who heads the ticket. I think there's little doubt that Joe Biden is going to win. But at the end of the day, are people going to express their ambivalence about Joe Biden, whether it's because of his age, whether it's because of America's position on the Israel-Gaza conflict? There are surprises beneath the surface that I think we will be able to take a look at tonight.
Right. And so what's the mood music, Steve, in Washington about the chances of Biden securing another victory?
Well, I think that Washington is concerned, not necessarily, saying that Washington is pro-Donald Trump or pro-Joe Biden, but I think that the anxieties that many Americans have about the president's age and vigor are shared here as they are everywhere else. Remember, when he won 4 years ago, he largely ran from his basement because we were in the middle of COVID. Right. He did not get out around the nation. And so watching an 81-year-old man go through the vigors of a very, the challenges of a very, very active campaign is something that has Washington concerned about Biden. But, there's only a few years difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and we have to remember that, too.
Right. You talked about the uncommitted votes, and the Democrats, as you said, are very much concerned about these voters. In Michigan, we saw many Arab Americans, Muslim Americans vote uncommitted to show their anger, their dissatisfaction over how the president's handled the Gaza war. And we could see the same happen in Colorado on Super Tuesday. But it seems that the Democrats have noticed the political danger, and it would appear that we're seeing a slight change, perhaps, in tone, in language in the last few days with calls for an immediate ceasefire from Kamala Harris, airdrops on Gaza, and so on. Do you think that can help quell the anger, or is it too little too late?
I don't know the answer, to tell you the truth. I think to a lot of people, 38,000 airdropped meals don't compare with the 2 million people in need. And so when you do the math, you look at the impotence of the American response vis-a-vis Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and getting him to change course, or the inability of the President of the United States to get more aid inside Gaza. I think if you look at it in the whole equation, it looks pretty pathetic to many Americans. But as you said, the tone seems to have shifted. That may help him, but I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see.
All right. The Republicans, you talked about Nikki Haley. Many pundits seem to have written her off. But as you say, they could be a surprise. What about Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner? Is there anything that could stop him?
Well, there's been an awful lot of polling of Republicans saying, do you care if he's a convicted felon? And the answer you get back overwhelmingly is not much. You get a little bit of an impact, but not enough to knock Donald Trump off the top of the ticket. So I think that's done. I think this is about the future of the Republican Party. This is about whether or not there is a resistance and what happens if Donald Trump, he's like Yogi Berra, this famous comedian, sports writer in America, said it's deja vu all over again with Biden and Trump running. But if you have a substantial number of Republicans that you see vote for Nikki Haley, where will they go on Election Day? Will they stay at home? Will they vote for Biden? Will they write in other tickets? It shows an ambivalence about Trump potentially that becomes electorally consequential. And we have to wait and see where that goes. But I would not write Nikki Haley off because she may be positioning herself very well for 4 years from now.
Thank you, Steve. Steve Clemons joining us there from Washington. Thank you very much for your time.